Okay. Can you tell us who you are?
I'm Brenetta, Shan McCreary,
Okay.
the
And
mother,
the mother of who?
Kennedy LaShawn McCreary.
You know I go by Pluto now.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
And
that's what makes you special.
all right. And tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Well, I'm from Los Angeles, California, which is now in the area that I grew up in is now called Westmont. It was just Los Angeles when I grew up in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah. And
And
go ahead.
2000 it turned in the 2000s. It turned into they separated city and named the city in certain parts different names. So Westmont came about.
Hmm. And can you tell us a little bit about Westmont and like your personal history with that area?
Well, I grew up there um, between Van Ness and Century, Van Ness, Century, and Western on 104th and Cimarron. And that area for a long time, ever since the 70s, which I was there from the early 70s, from 70 up until 20, I think it was 2015. And that area that was predominantly black, the only full black neighborhood where the houses started off at the medium price of maybe about 70,000, and those houses quickly rose to six and $700,000 in the 2000s. And I went to Century Park Elementary School. I went to Henry Clay Junior High School. I went to Washington High School. All the schools that's in that area, particular area. There's others, but those are the main ones. And it was we hardly had anyone there in that area, but a black community, solely a black community, which I thought that was, I thought it was a normal thing for us because we'd have some, and then in the 70s, well, like maybe 80s, 90s, then we start seeing a little bit of other cultures coming into the neighborhood, and it made things great. My godparents moved in, and they're from Belize, Central America, and I got to know them really well, which they, wind up taking me in as their godchild and everything. We always had, like any other community, we had gang um, presence and stuff, but there wasn't our area. Everyone would say, why would there even be gangbangers in that area? Because our area always stayed nice. Everybody cared for their homes. No, there was hardly ever anything bad happening in our area. If something did, we would be so shocked. All the neighbors would talk and be so shocked about it. Our neighborhood was solely back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s also. We had neighborhood watch, and neighborhood watch would check over, check everybody, check with all the neighbors and make sure that there's nothing happening. They had meetings for the area, for each area or each neighborhood, and they were able to kind of keep their thumb on the crime or anything that may happen in that area. So it kind of helped us out a lot. And then after the the riots, not well, yeah, the riot after the Rodney King. There was the riots and people burning down things and everything. And then after they burned things down, some of the businesses left the area, and some of them stayed. And we had more in that area to stay than we did have leaving or even getting burned. So um, a lot of people had businesses there since the early 70s, all the way up until the 2000s. Their family either took it over from the older um, moms and pops that had the businesses, and their children took it over and everything, and it just grew. And then maybe into the 2000s is when things start changing. And when it started changing, the area started changing.
Right.
And yeah, so we started seeing more gang influence, and we started seeing uh the businesses changing, people coming in, making business, then leaving, and then starting all over again. I actually started a business there, the first skateboard business in that area. Did well. It was called Cycle Brand. Um, it was my son's idea, Derek Dove, and I also had a hair salon in the area. It was called Extreme Styles,
Mm-hmm.
and I had it for over 5 years, and it did well there, and brought me a lot of progress in business. I wind up opening other salons and in different communities. But that has always been the community that I wanted to help because that's the community I grew up in. And that community has a lot of people that was in aerospace, worked for the telephone company when we had landlines. A lot of the black people had a lot of good jobs back then that bought those houses in that area. My mother and my father was one. My grandfather worked for Alcoa. My father worked for Northrop. My mom worked for Pac Bell. My grandmother was a homemaker. And we all lived in that area. And people that lived in that area went to college, went on to be business owners, even went on to be rap artists. Ice Cube, some may know. Um, he's one of the biggest ones there.
Right.
Um, there there's I think his name is Gary Gray. He's a film producer. He went to Washington High School. There's a lot of them. I can't remember everyone's name, but that area, Westmont, brought a lot of talent and smart people, intelligent children, and that turned into intelligent adults and really profitable people into this world.
Right. And can you
So,
tell us more about your home, like specifically on 104th?
where my home was on the corner of 104th and Cimarron, I'm a mother of 8 children, and uh, me and my husband never had a dull moment at the house there. There's always kids there. Each kid had at least 3 or 4 friends each,
Yeah.
and they always was welcome up to our house. We saved a lot of kids from becoming gang members and um, keeping them away from a lot of um, things that can happen to them on the street. Did a lot of work helping the community with the children in that area. and everything through helping to change the schools and stuff to like Henry Clay into a charter
Mm-hmm.
school. But I we just had one of the biggest houses on in the block, in the area at least, and it was full. Every room was full, and the kids were always there, and
Mm-hmm.
they learned a lot. They learned how to cook. They learned how to do whatever we taught them to. We also had a record label
Mm-hmm.
that we started, and all eight of my children were a part of it, and they each had a group according to their age ranges, and we had other artists that came through and they wanted to become a part of what we had, which was called West Coast Rhythms Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it kept the children safe. Everyone knew who we were in that area. Um, our house was always full of love. Everybody loved everyone that came by there. There was never hardly any disruption or anything like that, even though there was a lot of children. And we just had a great life living over there. It gave us a lot, gave my children a lot of opportunity to see how to live and how to be great in an area um, such as ours, and
Right.
which is called Westmont now, which
And
I love the name.
and could you give us some background, like who built the house that we grew up in?
Well, our house actually was a small house when it was purchased, and it was purchased by my grandmother and my grandfather. Um, my grandfather's name was Hillary Thomas, and my grandmother, I'm her namesake. Hers was Brenetta Thomas, and the house was started off as a two-bedroom house. My grandfather added on it. Then he added on a big master bedroom upstairs. He um he added on extra room. So the house turned into a four-bedroom with this large uh upstairs master bedroom with bath with shower. Just really nice. Hardwood floor. And when that house I moved from that area, and moving from that area, I that house started off as a like uh I think it was maybe when they first purchased the house, or somewhere in the range of like 28, anywhere between 28 and 30,000, something like that. And that house was sold for close to close to 700,000. So that's how the medium went up in that area and other houses around there, and it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it was a predominantly black area, and I would love to see it just become even better.
Right. And so that leads to our next and final question, which is, if you have the opportunity to further develop Westmont, California with endless possibilities, what would you create or change? And it could be as simple as cleaning the streets or as ambitious as building a utopia. Your vision matters.
I would actually revamp the park that's over there on Century near Western,
Is it Jesse
Century and
Owens?
Western, Jesse Owens Park. I would possibly do more advanced things in there, and even a homework lab there for the kids to be able to have a safe place if they're latchkey kids or something like that, with programs like that to help the children that are latchkey and everything. And I like to put some of the businesses that you see in more of the white areas, even the food restaurants and things like that. Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
you know, things like that. Whatever, I'd like to see, the black neighborhoods, or even now it's not only a black neighborhood, but it's a mixed neighborhood now. I'd like to see us have more of the things you would see maybe in Torrance, uh, and things like that, and Delano, because we're close to that area. But
Yeah.
they have more things. They have gymnastics. They have all kinds of things for the children. They have nice places to eat, go and eat. Just a just a normal. I would love to see it have, but just a normal city vibe,
Yeah.
and not be so because it's a black area, just be totally, left alone. You know, the houses are nice because people care, but we need the area to be, where the city is involved to be able to give us some great things to care about too.
Right. Well, thank you for your insight and for your perspective. I really appreciate it, Mom.
Yes, daughter. Anytime for you, my Blue.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.